So at 7, is it still 7:03?
Yeah.
We can start our meeting for November 13th. And any public comment on that?
No, I know, just
Thank
wanted
you.
to see that.
Additions to the agenda? Anybody? Let's take a look again at the minutes of October 7th, see if there's anything that needs amending. If anyone needs a copy, I do have one copy of the minutes. Okay. Anyone see anything that needs changing? I'll make a
We've seen the
motion.
minutes before, haven't we? Before this one, in time?
Well, we received them
Right,
a
okay.
while ago.
Yes.
All right.
I didn't resend the documents prior to this meeting because they were sent.
On November 1st, I
Right,
think.
Right,
Yeah.
in advance of the meeting from last
Yeah.
week. Okay,
I
I'll
can
make-
second it.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes, and Lauren's gonna second it. All in favor?
Thank you.
Who's abstaining? Wait,
Who was not here?
at least Janet.
You need one?
Janet,
That's for,
Lauren.
just Janet,
so-
one extension.
I was here over the phone.
Yes.
Yes, we have three on the phone.
This here fell apart.
So Janet is abstaining.
I'm abstaining.
Wait.
Thank you. All right, we can go on to the youth services report.
I think I did it all. You listen to this one.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, we had the Halloween Spooktacular for the 7th and 8th graders here. As a matter of fact, we couldn't do it in the gym, we had it here. We had 69 students, but it was the perfect size room for those kids and their energy. It was fun, we had a DJ, and the DJ was great. He went along with all of our games. We had just one thing after the other. So kids were getting a little rammy, so we started the donut eating contest, and they loved that. They loved watching it, they loved participating, and so we did a round of that. Pizza came, we had pizza, DJ played some tunes, and then we did a costume contest, and then we did the mummy wrap contest, and so then we encourage everybody to run around and pick up all of the, we're all over the floor.
Nancy, 69 kids, is that what you said?
Yep. And then we had a raffle at the end, and we gave out, candy bags as the kids were leaving. So there was one candy all over the floor, I didn't put you through that. So on your way out, you get the candy. But the kids were good, lots of energy, lots of fun, great little costumes, and we had a good time, we really did. We were a little short staffed, but we had good volunteers, and we had some high school students, so it went really well. We enjoyed it, it's always fun. Job bag, we're getting a few more jobs in, and we've got some more babysitting. I advertised a I don't know if you saw that in the newsletter, so I'm pushing the job bank there for jobs and babysitters, and I've had some calls recently for babysitters.
Good.
One was for 4 kids, and I had a brave student take it, so good for her. And I've met 2 of the kids, so I'm happy to say, I think it'll be a good match. Family game night, we tried. We had 8 people. We had more people who planned to come, but actually we only had 2 families, so there were 8 people. They had a good time, and this one family keeps coming back, and they just had a really nice time. They had pizza, cookies, and of course the games. And we gave out some, gift cards, raffle prizes, and we had one person who hadn't gotten a raffle prize. So I think we had some little extra toys. So somebody gave some to her. So it was nice. It was a really nice evening. It's a good deal for $10 for a family of 4. It really is a good deal, but we just need to find the right week, maybe. I don't know. So we'll see. Maybe we get into January and they have nothing else to do. I don't know. As long as it's not snowing. The Home Alone class, we just had it was a 2-day class, so we had one on the Thursday, October 24th, and then the next one We just did November 7th with Halloween was the Thursday in between, so we didn't do it. Frank Sapione, Officer Sapione came and he worked with the kids. Talked about emergencies, what happens when you call 911. They get to ask a lot of questions. We talked about, what happens in a fire, and if you have a grease fire, it's different from other fires. You don't put water on it, throw baking soda on it, get out, or whatever, depending on whether mom is there cooking. So I did have a student one time who said she was happy she went to the class because her grandmother was cooking and the meal caught fire. And she grabbed the baking soda and threw it on it and put the fire out. She was so proud of herself. So I always tell that story to the kids. And wow, yeah. So, but it was fun. I was just reading some of the comments that the kids made on their evaluation. So it was good. They had fun. And a couple of them said they wished we had more classes. Like, well, when are we coming back? So I don't know. Maybe I need to do a advanced Home Alone or something.
I just, Nancy,
Home
before you
Alone
move
too.
on,
Right, exactly.
Come on, too.
Oh,
But
no.
I'm bummed.
I did.
So funny.
this was the first time I heard Nancy give a class. I just have to say, she does a phenomenal job. Like, I was really impressed. She had the kids engaged, asking questions. It was great.
Yeah, you do so much for saying that. You do these things, you never know, and I read the evaluations, they're hard to read because the spelling is always very interesting, very creative. But one girl said, I was assuming it was the girl, but I shouldn't do that, but one kid said they wish we had more classes, and it was, but all the information was spot on, or whatever, so it was cute. I love the way they talk.
And really nice that the timing of the class after school works with using this facility, with the, drop-down projector and all of that we have here. It makes like it a perfect marriage to have, daytime seniors and after school.
Exactly, because sometimes I try to book, and the library meeting is nice, but you might get one day but not the next or whatever, and it's
And you have to
sometimes
schlep all your stuff.
and getting it over there is always fun, yeah, you're absolutely right. Community service, so we have some kids coming into, first Judy came in with some friends to work at the food pantry, and there were some students there. And we have some students also coming here and there. And we had a boy come in today and help, and we have a girl coming tomorrow. So the food pantry is really getting in shape. It's shaping up nicely, I think. Holiday baskets, we're going to have 3 to 4 students help out again this year with, just handling the baskets when people come in to pick up on December 3rd. So that should be fun. I did information tables this year, so we also added on Woodbridge Lake Mead Day and the Amity Middle School PTO Color Run. So we helped sponsor that, and then I have a table there so I can share lots of information, plug the programs for those kids. So we did sponsor the Color Run, we sponsored the Halloween Hoot, and we helped to sponsor the Trunk or Treat as well. Spread the love. Diversion, so I did participate in 2 diversion cases in Orange for Orange students. It's really interesting, and it's just a good practice for me because I hadn't done it. And so the Orange coordinator, she sat in on one, the other one she knew the family, so she stepped back and I did that. So it went well, and I think I look forward to, really getting us together here and doing diversion.
Talk about what it was.
So the diversion team, you usually have, you have some adults, you sometimes invite a person's teacher or a former teacher because maybe they don't want a person to think poorly of them or whatever, so sometimes it's nice to have someone who knows them, knows of them. The parent can come.
And the school, is the school assigned them or referred them to?
We usually have some, in this case, if they're arrested at the school or they get a ticket at the school or whatever, then
Then it's the police.
then it's a police matter,
Yep.
and then
Yep.
it should be a first offense. And so, what's nice is they don't have to go to court. We can handle it locally, and then we can decide if they're gonna do an apology letter, but we also had the assistant principal from the high school, so the high school will send someone, or whatever school it is. But it went well, and they had a person from their advisory board, a gentleman who had been in education also.
What kind
and
of
then we have a
things are they
police
dealing
officer
with?
there. So, I don't wanna reveal
No,
exactly
no,
what
no.
happened recently, but it could be, kids drinking, underage drinking,
Could be
you know,
fighting.
underage use,
Fighting?
fighting,
Physical.
cyberbullying. And, and cyberbullying, it can get really rough, because if there's a threat made, then the whole
Right.
family has to worry about it. You know what I mean? It's not just that kid, it's maybe their whole
And
family.
how do these things
you know.
get raised and end up before this group?
So when the police have to arrest someone, it's a first offense, then they will,
Refer
decide
it to you?
based on what they're arrested for.
Right, depending on the level of what happened, so if it's at all a sexual assault, it's going to the court.
That's different.
You know, but then there's also, mental health stuff, like truancy, that kind of thing is also going to these diversion teams.
Well,
So-
actually, I'm helping it.
Yeah.
So what happens is, if there's a truancy issue, they see the attendance committee, which is at the high school, so then they let me know, and I go over there, and, if it's a Woodbridge person, then I go, or if it's an Orange person, then Chantel Brunel from Orange will go.
And we just
Okay.
received sort of a boilerplate MOU to make a partnership with youth service bureaus and the schools, CABE, Connecticut Association of Board of Education. There's an MOU between them to allow the schools now to let Nancy or any youth service bureau follow the kid, get some data on the kid. So it's not gonna be
Not mental health.
not mental health,
but other-
right? We don't provide mental health services here, so that's all referrals anyway. But if she wants to see how many times this kid skipped school the week after, the JRB, the
Attendance
diversion, or the attendance committee, she can follow that. She doesn't have to get that information from the school. So that was given to the town attorney today, and he said he had already seen one from another, town, I think he said in Fairfield County somewhere, that he had already looked at one and he thought this was pretty straightforward. So we'll hopefully get that back. We'll get the arrangement sent with Amity and with Beecher. We're looking to get information there. After Nancy sponsors the after-school guided study, she also wants information that we haven't been receiving. So I
We
think
know
it's a
that
good.
they like the program, but maybe to follow them to see how their grades are right after, if they improve, or if, or perhaps.
You don't wanna have to see them again.
You can also, what they use this data for too, is when we plug in data, or if we're following someone, say something, we go through diversion team and then you follow that student, then maybe you see if they made it to the next year or whatever, depending on whether it's an attendance issue. But that data then might get plugged in to our data and it gets processed, and then the state would be looking at, maybe there's more money that's needed in this area or that area. So it's really to kind of not just justify our existence, but see where the needs are. So maybe when they're looking at budgets, they can decide, maybe money should go to this area or that area. So we're hoping with gathering this data, it helps us, but it also helps, bring the funds where it's needed throughout the state. So, and the wording in it is like that we would be considered, youth service bureaus would be considered an agent of the school. So we would, but we still have to follow HIPAA laws. So if there's mental health issue, and if we wanted that information, the parent would have to sign off and, do a release of information. But at this point, we're not really offering mental health services here. So I don't know that thered be a need for that yet.
We're not
That changes at
offering
some
them
point.
at all.
Not
Not a little
yet.
bit, not at all.
No, we used to have a contract with Clifford Pierce, but we don't have it with them anymore, so. So the data reporting for the DCF grants, data was due, for the first quarter, October 31st. That went in on time, and staffing, 3 of our per diem, program assistants just recently resigned. So we will be on the lookout for some new ones, because we really do have to have enough staff. I mean, it's great to have volunteers, but we do need staff at our evening programs. The issue is, of course, low pay, an occasional evening. It's just a very occasional evening, so sometimes we just say to maybe a regular volunteer, hey, would you like to join the staff, so, so we'll be looking at, some new staff members. The hourly rate is $16.22 an hour, so it's, it's a little extra change in someone's pocket, but they have to be able to lift the boxes, get things in and out of the cars and run around, set things up and clean up afterwards and, kind of watch over the kids. So it's a step up from the chaperone because there's more responsibility, absolutely. So, if anyone knows of anyone that might be interested.
Is the typical staff person like a college student or something like that?
The requirement, well, it's suggested that they have 2 years of college, but I think a college student could do it easily, and that's why I thought maybe we'd look into, talking to Quinnipiac, because they have students there, and we've had some of their interns years ago.
I think that some students are more interested in working than Quinnipiac students, but I didn't say that.
I was thinking it.
I've got job bank kids that make more than that, so it's tough,
Yeah.
it's tough, and especially when it's just occasional, but hey, if, got nothing
you're a
going on
mom-
a Friday night,
If your mom and your kids are
Do it.
going, you
Do
might
it.
as well not volunteer and get paid.
that's what I keep saying, I'm surprised nobody hears me.
Work for me.
I know, but you know what, we also have to remember that moms, have been out there in the workforce, and they're not home anymore, and they're not willing to work for the same pay anymore.
Well, we're not asking them to do surgery, we're asking them to watch children. So, the pay rate isn't gonna be what they make, doing their regular jobs.
Oh,
It's
I
just,
understand.
it's, it's less.
But, when they look at it, they go,
It's easier being a surgeon. The client's asleep, then.
Can't complain. Thank you, Nancy. Okay, well, I'll make a motion to accept the youth services report, and I need a second. Viviana. All in favor? Okay, excellent. We'll go on to the center report.
On October 10th, we had our pumpkin craft workshop, and we had 25 people come to that. The lunch and learn attendances are doing very well. We had on October 17th, the Fall Food for Ball at Home presentation given by Amity PT, and Oak Street Health provided the lunch for that, so we had 49 people attend that. And on October 24th, we had a lunch and learn on Medicare 2025 and the changes that will be coming with that. And that was given by Agency on Aging, and the lunch was provided by Charter Senior Living with 46 people attending that lunch and learn. And on October 31st, we had our annual Spooky Sponsor Social. This year was there were challenges we usually don't have, but they all worked out. The event was on a Thursday. On Tuesday, we found out we couldn't use the gym. So we divided it between down here in the lounge and up in the lobby, the main lobby. And then on Thursday, when I came in, the fire trucks were getting ready for the spectacular.
Trick or treat.
trick or treat.
Which is usually in
Not
the
a spectacular.
firehouse.
Right.
So they had all of the parking blocked off on Meeting House Lane, which was unexpected. So we wound up doing a shuttle with our van to Assumption Church, and Kathy went down there and rounded up people while the van was going back and forth. So it worked. It wasn't a perfect scenario, but it all worked out. We had 44 people representing 23 of our sponsors here, and they had the vendor tables, like kind of a health fair style. And they dressed up and they had festive tables, and then we had 75 of our members go through. And it's always a really nice time, and everybody enjoys it on both sides. There was a sponsored hot lunch that was provided by Carmine's, and then we had music by Sean Taylor. So it's a really fun event, despite the little hiccups along the way.
If you haven't followed the Woodbridge Center and you want to see how this looks, Christy always, after these events, posts a whole bunch of pictures, and it'd be nice if you guys wanted to see what it's, what's
On
on
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Facebook posts. You have to be on Facebook.
Which, by the way, on the side, we're getting very close to 400 or so followers, so if you're not
Push her
following,
over.
it's really close, less than 10. So thank you for that segue. And on November 6th, the lunch bunch went to Willow Restaurant on the Oxford Airport. Had a really nice time there. They had a beautiful day. On November 7th, we had another lunch and learn that was given by UI SCG. There's 34 people that attended that. And we got nice feedback from that. Today we had a driver safety class with 9 people attending that. Tomorrow, one of our members is Sandy Pagiano, who's very active and sort of pickleball mahjong. She's actually going to be doing a craft with everybody, beaded ornamental craft, or beaded ornamental corn craft. There's about 27 people signed up for that. And next Wednesday, on the 20th, the Woodbridge Garden Club will be doing a holiday centerpiece workshop. They had a max of 20 people that could attend that, and we're full with a waiting list. And lastly, for November, we'll be having our Thanksgiving luncheon on November 21st. It's fully sponsored by 5 local sponsors, so there's no charge for that. Lassie's will be catering that again this year, and it's a traditional Thanksgiving meal. And I'm going to skip on the agenda, and I'm going to go to personnel because then other center updates will make more sense. Sharon Presner, who was approved at the special meeting, started working. She's doing really well. She's just jumps in. She's no hand holding. She just, if I ask her to do something, she just takes it on and goes with it. So that's worked out very nicely so far. And Katie Bear, our center coordinator, unfortunately resigned, and Friday was her last day. She went for a full-time position at Yale with benefits, and she was very upfront from the beginning about wanting a full-time position. We're going to miss her a lot. She was a perfect fit. She had a hearty hello and welcome to everybody, and every time they came in, and she improved the efficiency here quite a bit. So she's going to be a hard one to replace. And Jeanette and I have started the process of going through applications and interviewing. We started interviewing this week, but it's very difficult down here without that position. It's a position that should probably be a full-time position, and so not to have anybody there is really difficult to do both jobs down here. And did it last year, and it's a very difficult thing, that's all I can say. And then going back to the other center updates, the credit card payments are in my report. We looked into them, we're gonna start them, but most likely that'll be on hold because it just will take more effort to put it in place.
You
and I have
need
to
more
pull that
staff
right
to
now.
make that happen.
So that's on hold. And then lastly, for outreach, we collected a total of $550 for the Teens Flood Relief Fund, which is helping 130 families that were affected by the flood. So, and is there any questions?
Well, it's quite an array of programs on less than full staff, Christy, thank you. Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the center report, and I'll take a second. Pat, all in favor? Okay. Excellent. Human Services, please.
So, as Christy said, the gym was not ready for the spectacular, and it was very disappointing. You know, that date had been on the construction company's calendar for months, and they failed. They failed pretty much at every level of their efficiency, and so they did send a cleaning crew a second time because the first time it was a terrible job, and they did a little bit better on Friday before the election and not trusting them at all to do the work, the town brought in another cleaning crew on Saturday so that, you know, we have all those election officials spending the entire day, and it's about 3,000 Woodbridge residents first time seeing the renovated space that cost almost $1 million. So you would want to have them favorably impressed with a clean gym. So I'm a little, you know, disappointed that the gym took this long. The election was able to be in the gym, and so that's a good thing. They're still discussing the way to move forward on the gym. There's a punch list walkthrough now postponed to the 18th of the month, and so they'll walk through. The architect and engineers will walk through and figure out what still needs to be done. And we are trying to accommodate so that when they want to come in, like this coming Friday, they're going to be installing more pads because they had some not arrive, or there was some problem with some of the padding on the wall for the recreation department, and so those will be installed. The missing pads will be installed Friday morning, and we're gonna try and work with them. And the center building renovation continues to meet, although it kind of seems like that's not going to go anywhere. And their next meeting is November 20th. The vaccine clinics were quite good. We did three with the Valley Pharmacy, and they are excellent. They just know what they're doing and they come prepared. And we did last one with OVNA, which we continue to partner with. They are only willing to do flu vaccines, and so they didn't do very many people. They didn't want to make appointments, and I think people feel more comfortable if they know they have an appointment. So they had only a dozen people come for that, whereas the other clinics were full, doing 4 people every 10 minutes for 3 hours. So really got a lot of people in. We provided just a little over 300 vaccines, which is great. And the capital and operating budget, it's here, it's now. I have sent a request to Nancy and Christy for their parts of the budget. We'll get together our committee hopefully in mid-December. I've requested from Tony Genovese an extension on the deadline. The deadline is January 2nd. We don't meet as a commission until the 6th. And so I asked him if we could submit on the 7th after you guys approve it. And he said sure. So we're good to go on that. But hopefully some of the discussion can happen at the December meeting. At least I can share some of it with you, and then expect all of it for the January meeting. And we were lucky enough, Kathy and I were lucky enough to meet with Mika, and we were discussing a bunch of different things, but the topic came around to the budget, and our hope again that we could submit for a full-time employee. At that time I did not have that Katie was leaving, which only adds, puts salt in the wound. The fact that we said you can't maintain this position on a part-time basis, and we didn't get the full-timer last year. We were given 12 extra hours. This person works 28, and we were given 12 hours, which is how we got Sharon to do some of that other communications work. And it went really well with Mika. He said that he had put a freeze on hiring for all departments, and we were going to be told about it shortly thereafter, or I wouldn't have brought it up, but we didn't know. So we did bring it up, and he was convinced by Christie's numbers. 3 over 22 is double the attendance, and data really speaks. And this year we're on track to increase that again. And so, they're looking very strongly at increased senior housing in town. They're looking at, building more in town, and you can only think that will also increase our numbers. I look at the fact that this is a beautiful place. This has a great director who has creativity and success at programming, and then finally you've got the baby boomers arriving in droves. We knew 10 years ago that the numbers would be increasing, dramatically as the boomers started coming, and they have. It's like trifecta, So he seemed favorable. We can only hope that we don't sound like a broken record, and we'll go back and we're going to ask for it again.
Well, he did say, the hiring freeze except for human services.
Right, and police.
And police.
Right, and he said that again at our department head meeting. So he made the exception now to all of the department heads, and so I feel confident that we can submit and make a case again. And that's a positive step. I went over all that. The food pantry, as Nancy said, we got 4,000 pounds of food from the Boy Scouts, which is great. We have another small food drive going on until, I think she said, I want to remember, but I think it was middle of December. The Surreybrook School in Bethany is doing a food drive, so we'll get some more food. A bunch of the food will go out. We'll put out a table at the holiday baskets, all the short-dated food, anything that expires by, say, May or June of '25. We're going to put out so people can help themselves when they come pick up their baskets. And I ordered some, based on the fact that the Child Care Center has postponed their move, and we were going to get a room in the Child Care Center's wing for the food pantry and be able to expand. We've decided to make the best use of the space we have. So I ordered additional racks, and it all fit in there nicely. So we're really, with the kids that Nancy got, and Judy brought in a bunch of volunteers, got almost all of the food put away. It's faster than any year I can remember. Sometimes it got to March and we still had tables in the hallway. So this was really a terrific effort. And I want to really thank the Boy Scouts and the very generous families in Woodbridge who donated all that food. It's just incredible. When you see it come in, it's just overwhelming. And the Thanksgiving holiday program, we are partnering with the Rotary Club, who will do gift cards and pies for 30 Woodbridge families. We add in 20 Bethany families, and they do 10 New Haven families through a certain church in New Haven. So I got with that in mind, I received a donation from Bailey Moore Glazer, Schaefer, and Proto.
Yep.
I got the G in there where it goes. And on Monday they gave 2 lovely donations, $750 for the gift cards, toward the gift cards. The Rotary Club pays for the rest of them. And also $750 toward the Resident Assistance Fund, which will help with gift cards for the holiday baskets. So, we've been taking in a lot of nice donations for the Resident Assistance Fund, and we are lucky enough to, I think we have 40 now families. We separate out about 10 families, if you're wondering why 30 families get Thanksgiving and 40 families get the holiday basket. It's 10 of those families have kids at Beecher, and Beecher does a Thanksgiving basket for them, so we exclude them from the Rotary basket, and then they just get the holiday basket. So we're up to around 40, some newly identified from the high school for us, and we have adopt-a-family donors for each one of them. It all worked out really well, which is really nice.
Just describe, do they put the baskets together? Do they give you money and you put the
Oh,
baskets together?
I forgot what I was gonna say. Pat, that's a perfect prompt.
Yes.
Very well done. So, for the most part, there's a family for each, there's a donor family for each recipient family. And they will put together a basket. We ask, it's sort of a gentle ask, but we don't want them getting the same thing they would get at the food pantry, a bunch of cans of beans or corn. We want sort of more special stuff for the holidays, so, maybe throw in some pretty napkins, some hot cocoa, maybe some chocolate, something special for the holiday. And then we ask for gift cards, and families do, as low as a $25 contribution, and I've seen as high as $300. It really depends on the size of the family they're donating to and the amount of ability of the donating family to give. What we do is we have other sponsors who just can't take a family. They give us gift cards. And they give us not cash, checks or gift cards, and we go out and buy gift cards, and then we just sort of even things out. So we have one family that used to give just a basket of lovely food and a $25 gift card, and then we would supplement. And so that family got as much as other families.
The craft group donates a bunch of things too.
Right, and so we also do a couple of tables in the room, and we do sundries that people can just take a shopping bag and take what they need. We do canned food and other non-perishable food items on another area, and then we put out holiday cards, socks from our Progressions donor, and beautiful knitted things, mitts, hats, scarves. Some of our craft group will actually knit for specific families. So we'll add in, mittens for a 4-year-old or a hat and scarf set for a 16-year-old. But some of it gets set out on the tables. One does these beautiful toys. She really crochets and knits. I don't know. I'm not
Probably crocheting.
Yeah, the dolls that are really beautiful, little animals. But so you brought up this subject, and I just want to say we have a couple of families that, one woman who historically has done many baskets for us, she had to give money this year. It just wasn't a year for her. And we're going to ask the commission if there are some volunteers. There are some volunteers who might be willing to pack up some baskets, a couple of baskets, for people who want to sponsor, gave us a bunch. We have some lovely food that we set aside from the Thanksgiving food drive and some little gifty items. We have gift cards that we've purchased with their money, and we're just going to pack those up on a day. And I think we would do that. I think I might have put it in my report.
We talked about it.
We did talk about it. I thought I did identify. Well, it would be.
I have November 18th to the 22nd, or before November 22nd is
That's
really
it.
what you said, 18th.
Before the 22nd, because the distribution day is the 3rd of December, and then we've got the holidays. So we want to make sure. So, if anybody is available, just contact us and let us know some of your availability. We've still got bags, the plastic bags from the Living Treasure, and I'm going to go out and buy some laundry baskets, and we'll.
Do you need just baskets that are about that big?
No, okay. No, this is a little bit more size.
These are,
Maybe for next year's Living Treasure, hold on to them. Right?
So you're saying next week?
Is that next week
Yes.
already?
Yeah.
Oh, stop it.
So we should pick a date.
So, yeah, we should pick a date, but not at the beginning of the week, because I have to get the baskets.
Yes.
And so give me time to get the baskets, but we can put
So
you guys,
possibly Friday, the 22nd, give you enough time?
I think that'd be great. And
All right.
would you like, are you saying you're coming?
I will put it in my calendar, do you, 1 o'clock, would you, 11, I
That's
mean, you
fine.
tell.
We have an interview.
Pat's a
No,
good rapper.
We set that time aside, but we can be nearby. They can, they can use the conference room to pack this.
No, that's this Friday,
That's this Friday.
next Friday. she
Oh,
said.
right, okay, yes.
Friday, and what time would be the,
1 o'clock is great.
okay,
What date is that, Jeanette?
so Friday.
That's Friday the 22nd.
1 PM down here to wrap, or up, we should be upstairs.
Yep, you'll be in the conference room. That's where all the stuff is, so it's easier not to have to move it at 1 PM, commissioners. So I'll put that out in an email to the whole commission and see if anybody can look at their calendars and see if they can come. We don't need a lot of people because it's only a couple baskets.
Right.
Great, well, that solves that. Do I need to say anything else about that? Nope. Just want to say thank you to Massaro Farm, because in the end of October, their vegetable program ended, and they provided an amazing array of vegetables for months for 20 families in Woodbridge, and it's very generous of them, and it's a great program. Those fresh vegetables are beautiful. We'll get to meeting dates under new business. Oh, I was gonna say something. One more thing, sorry. I've been working on trying to hire someone for the opioid settlement dollars. And this past week, Judy and I interviewed a couple of candidates. I won't say much about those 2 candidates, but I'm still looking. So I reached back out to the Yale Fellowship Program, and they are putting out our information. I had done a description of the position, and they're putting that out in other locations for us. Hopefully finding someone who has a little bit more background in drug addiction and harm reduction. So we'll keep looking, but we're hoping to get that person in place. I requested information from the grant, from the fund. I guess it's a law firm that represents them, but for the state. And just to find out, to make sure that what I've read is that support structure can be charged to that money. So I'm looking to put in get a laptop and a phone line, an additional phone line for that person to work, and I don't have that in my budget. So it's gotta come from somewhere. So I'm waiting on a response, but the way Tony and I read it, it looks like they would answer favorably. So I just wanted to update you on that, because I haven't talked about those funds in a while. That's it for me.
Okay. Thanks, Jeanette. Any other questions? I'll make a motion to accept the Human Services report. And I
Second.
Janet, all in favor? Excellent. So Jeanette had asked me to share a commission chair report, and Jeanette had already covered a little bit about our meeting with Mika, but the meeting was prompted by my public comment from 2 meetings ago, where we had made a motion to I read our ordinance that included housing, included recreation, and includes, transportation, the whole, list that's in our ordinance. And I did not expound on the comments other than what we had agreed to that night, and so he had questions. So that was, I think, the impetus for the meeting. And we did have a good dialogue. You know, I walked away feeling more confident that we would, you know, get better staffing. And also, you know, I made a comment about, you know, the need for more social work hours in the future. You know, just to put that out there with him. We did talk a little bit about the possibility of Human Services becoming a Community Services Commission that may encompass recreation. So we did have a discussion. I think that Mika may have further discussion with Jeanette over, you know, the next couple of months to kind of talk about that possibility. We did talk a little bit about what our department, what Human Services does for housing, as and that we don't want to give up the advocacy that we provide for our residents, as I don't believe the Housing Commission that's being formed will have that skill set. I think they are drafting the mission for that commission, and
I think they did that this afternoon.
Yeah, and I think it is more to look to add additional housing units to the town, and that's not our skill set. Our skill set, I think I said to Mika, is once you become a Woodbridge resident and you have a need, we're here. Mm-hmm. But we're not looking, you know, it's not our charge nor our skill set to be increasing, you know, the housing units. And so housing still has a place in our ordinance, I believe. But so it was a good discussion, and Jeanette was able to talk about some of the advocacy work that the department does, and Mika, you know, was not aware of. So I think that it was a good discussion.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt for a second. Nancy has family, and I was supposed to say after her.
Oh, you were supposed to go.
Yeah, after her report, I was
Yes.
supposed to say Nancy's going to depart. And I'm so sorry, Nancy, but you do have to go. Okay, sorry.
Okay. Have a good rest of the evening.
Thank you.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, sorry.
Anything else with that piece that I forgot? Okay, so any questions on
Well,
that?
he did say that in terms of advocacy, where we talked about advocacy for our clients, he did say that he thought that the Housing Commission, as they will be, would have the outreach to HUD and Jaffa.
Right.
In the case of Lucy Street, selling to a new owner, they are doing in negotiations about who can take over. That is not our skill set either. Although we did meet with Jaffa when we had concerns, that's not our skill set. And what Christy did in getting the residents to be able to self-advocate with Mika directly by having a, coffee discussion.
Putting a forum together.
Right, a forum monthly is also in our wheelhouse, but we would not be advocating to state agencies in terms of a sale of housing or different landlords. Our outreach is different.
Right,
So-
and I think we both agreed.
I think we did.
I think we,
Right.
and it was a healthy discussion. This is on to another topic. The town commissions, Mika is asking each town commission to send the chair or a designee to give technical assistance to the consultant that's been hired for the Country Club of Woodbridge property. And so I asked a little bit what technical assistance meant, but I think that if there's a question about what we do in Human Services, there would be a representative there to answer questions. It's not a group that's going to have any decision-making in what happens on the property tamper with the property. It's just supplying information to the consultant who will then be, advising the Board of Selectmen, on what they feel is the best use of the property. So it's, Mika, the meetings haven't been scheduled yet. He said that there would be maybe once monthly, 6 to 8 meetings. It's not a voting or an influencing group. If you are very interested in serving on that committee, let me know. I did make a commitment that if there wasn't anyone who was available, I would go, I would serve. But I think I would be coming prepared with the data that we get every month. So I don't think that I have an extra level of expertise. I think we all share the same information. So you can share with me now, or send an email to Jeanette or to me, and if you are interested. I don't know when they're going to start, and he thought there'd be 6 to 8 meetings. It could be less.
Covers it?
Okay, so that was another piece. The plan of conservation and development, I think my copy, I see my dog-eared copy down there. There's a short timeline for us to give input to the Board of Selectmen on this document, which is now ending its 10-year phase and starting the next 10-year phase. And I had given, I think I had, or Jeanette had attached a little worksheet, which I have a couple
I
copies
have
here.
a couple copies here.
And I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it. Again, I don't want you to copy it because it's lengthy. But we need to give input, and we should be giving input by December 31st is what we've been asked to do. And I think there will be another point in time where there might be some gathering of commissions under the POCD area, but we should be submitting something in writing by December 31st. So Jeanette and I and Arnie happened to, have a dialogue last week when our meeting was canceled. So we started to discuss, some, potential pieces that we want to bring forward into this important document for our department. And on this little worksheet, I wrote down some of the key points that I thought were, at least rose to the surface for me in the last POCD. And, one of the goals was to age in place, for human services to provide services to allow for aging in place for residents who want to stay in town. Tax and renter relief for seniors. And I'm bringing these up because, not that they're done, 10 years we did it, we did a lot of it, but it has to continue. So these are key points that we may need to look at continuing as well. There was a specific point in the last POCD about the Country Club of Woodbridge and looking at transitional housing for seniors on that property. And just a general expand age-restricted housing options in town. One of the key goals was the establishment of the senior center in this new facility, and so that certainly
Yeah, right, to improve the center, which gets a big check mark next to it.
Exactly, that part. So what we need to do going forward.
And it also mentioned baby boomer programming.
Yes.
Which that also gets a big check mark next to it, so it was completed, or is in process.
And any of you that had a chance to look at it, are there any other key points that we should make note of?
Well, I do say that each, in here, this is the 2015 model. So the senior center is consistently referred to as the senior center, and we wanna update the language, this is page 112 and page 113, but there's other locations in here that are completely
Outdated.
erroneous.
Yes.
Right, so I've talked to each Nancy and Christy, but only today, to say that we'll be rewriting these pages, you know, if you wanna give input and you've read them and you think, you know, for going to the future, and I know that we're gonna get to what we're looking at for the future in a minute, but to write these descriptions in a forward-facing way that also doesn't ignore the fact that there's really erroneous information. So we wanna rewrite them sort of using that as a framework, but to correct it and then move it forward. And I think we'll try, short-staffed and sort of crazy right now, but we'll try to, you know, start taking some stabs at it, at least bullets, for the next meeting, which comes very early. You know, it's the same day as the drop-off of the baskets, December
That's right.
2nd. So, a lot going on, but, you know, we'll try at least to start. I'm guessing that even though it's due the 31st, that we can push it to the 6th to approve what we're thinking about, and then get an extension like the budget. We could try, and
Okay.
maybe you would take that and ask if we can get our information to them by the 7th of January. And we have to get through the budget. That's our primary focus right now, is to get through the budget and the holiday basket and Thanksgiving basket and all of Christie's programming, and, you know, there's a lot.
There's a lot.
So it's hard sometimes to prioritize when everything is a priority. I don't think I've ever said that before.
So looking ahead for ideas for the 2025 POCD, this is a question I'm just throwing out as an idea, and I think I had the idea as I was at the parking lot at Assumption Church last week, thinking, do we have enough handicap parking for the center? Do we have enough accessible parking? Is it too far for some seniors to walk from the front of the building coming down? You know, so again, it's a 10-year plan. And
Right.
so
One of the things that I
throwing that out there.
added in here, because I took a training this afternoon on a transition plan, and I am the ADA coordinator for the town, and the last transition plan was in 2010. Mary Ellen completed it, and, you know, do we have compliance? Yes. Is it recommended that every 5 to 7 years you do one? Yes. Or, you know, but we're still in compliance. It's a big objective, you know, to do that. There's a lot of publicly owned properties. There's a lot of buildings that are Woodbridge-owned properties, like Beecher. And you would hope that they've maintained or upgraded compliance. But everything needs to be surveyed, and in that, parking places, doorways, angles of ramps,
So it
all of
goes
that.
further than
That has to be in the next 10-year plan. So I was going to suggest that a new, I thought I wrote it on here, but I didn't, but a new transition plan be included in their goals for the next 10 years. And so in that, yes, parking spaces and length of distance to get to programming, and any barriers that, you know, need to be,
I just want to add that parking in general is an issue, and
they're gonna open a new
accessible.
building. They're gonna
Well,
open a new
well,
building,
I'm just
so it's
saying-
only gonna get worse.
Well, I'm just saying, within the programming, you know, when you expand the programming here, we're having a problem with
And then you have a
parking.
library program at the
Right.
same time, and really, there's no parking.
Right, and you get the kids from the high school who think that they can park here without buying a permit for the high school, or worse, the high school runs out of parking spaces, and can't provide parking for those kids.
And even today, there was complaints that there wasn't any parking available, and it wasn't a busy day for us. I mean, we had a couple of programs going on that were bigger, but not like our, to be social or anything.
When the construction leaves, we got a third over here, accessible spot. We're gonna get, at least one more. Brad wanted them to move their dumpster and be gone before he painted those, but we are gonna be getting another, because parking over across the lot at the library is too far for some.
Yes, right.
And the last parking space up at the top of the driveway is way too far.
Right, and I watched some residents last week who struggled just to get in the van. And that was like, that was tough for that. So that's why I bring it up, because I watched that happen last week.
Well, Kathy, I thought, had a very creative idea in our conversation last week about, it was a kernel of an idea that needs a lot more work, but the idea of creating a pedestrian-only region around Meeting House Lane and maybe not part of Newton Road, I guess, but Meeting House Lane. And I think that that's not feasible for a lot of reasons in and of itself, but perhaps if the town could hire architects, there are architects who design these things that might make some way to make the asphalt space, the walking space, more usable, both for pedestrians as well as perhaps more parking spaces, and making it a more pleasant place to be. That would be an interesting challenge.
And again, a 10-year, lookout,
Right.
if the police station, or the police department is in a different spot, that opens up another area for parking that's not
That whole area
terribly
where
far
they park.
from us.
Yeah, that would be great.
So, looking at a bird's eye view of all of this, which again would take some expertise that I don't have, but the idea that someone could access the library, the town hall, go back to the trails, be able to walk in the center, if the community center has coffee, I mean, it would be a center of Woodbridge, a little town center. So
There was some discussion when the renovation to the community and cultural center came up of increasing parking, but I think they maxed out their grant dollars on the building itself, and I don't think that there's additional funds for the additional parking, but we did talk about on the police side of the building, cutting into the green and making that a double wide over there. They talked about putting parking on both sides of the street of Meeting House Lane, like at least not angled parking, but straightforward parking. There were a couple of good ideas, and so I don't think those have gone away. I think they were provided by an architect, but I think that has sort of run out of money. So for now, I think we have to be where we are.
What you're saying, reimagining the whole center of town,
Right.
essentially.
And you're saying for the 10-year plan, right?
Right,
So
this is a
it's not
vision,
now,
it's
Yeah.
a
Not
vision.
tomorrow.
It's on the
And,
wish list, like ideas that we have to improve and.
well, I'll give you an example. This is the state of Connecticut POCD, and this is the draft. It's also being revised this year. So this is, their categories are a little different than the one that we work with in town. So under healthy people and places, this is their overall goal. Connecticut will offer communities that enable the health and physical, social, mental well-being of residents of all incomes, races, genders, ethnicities, abilities, and ages. So that's pretty all-encompassing. So if we were going to say we have a goal of making the center of town more accessible with easier parking, or more handicap accessible, we could write a broad goal, because at some point, if someone is going to start to take that seriously and look for grant money, they often ask, is it in your POC? Okay, so it is good for us to write something all-encompassing. They also, under this plan, the language, this is the state plan, this is Woodbridge's plan. So I kind of like looking at this because it's much more succinct and the goals are a little broader. Making best use of existing infrastructure and ensuring the efficiency and sustainability of future infrastructure. And the infrastructure piece is so important in the building, in this particular building, because it's old and systems are, will need help over the next 10 years. So I think if we, my opinion is writing goals like that will help us.
They did reference the building in the last POCD on page 115. They said, invest in building maintenance. This is right after talking about innovative senior services and youth services, the next paragraph, so it is referring to the center building. Invest in building maintenance and improvements as needed to protect collections, but then there was another location where it discussed how this center building, I hope I marked it, the center building has very long ways to go because our offices are all spread out. There's no one location to get to, where you need to be in this building. Nothing was planned. It was all just utilize the space that's here. And so, I wish I could
Well,
find
there's
my note on
upgrading
it.
and maintaining town buildings, better use of existing facilities, help bring more services to places where they can reach users and create hubs of activity. It's a little bit of what we're talking about, but
Yes.
you and I can, look at it for that.
Right, but it did talk about improving the building. It talked about accessibility to the second floor, either another ramp or another, I think, access means for ADA compliance. So, I mean, even if you go up this elevator here, you park, you walk in, get to the elevator, you go upstairs, that hallway is tremendous. I had someone not have her oxygen with her, and I had to put her in a wheelchair and wheel her out because she was leaning on a wall sucking air, just coming up to use the tax office. No, it was the clinic. We moved the clinic upstairs one time because of the gym, and she couldn't breathe. So it's far. I don't know if this building is best used how it is, but that's for some kind of planner other than space needs assessments. But I have a few things. Are you?
No, I
Okay.
the only other one I had is the staffing needs, to make sure that we're very specific on the staffing needs right now and kind of a project out for the, for the 10 years.
I put 2 full-time positions, director and coordinator, plus 2 part-time to be added on to as needed. That
For the center.
The center. The social worker, either to become a full-time or to have 2 part-time social workers. So the center building maintenance, healthy people in places, can, and then, to do something about this building in terms of a future for us. They put us off now after 2 years of meeting in the center building renovation. It looks like it's too expensive for the town to do, so it's not gonna be done, which doesn't alleviate the problems that the building has. So potentially, one problem at a time will be addressed, whether it's the sustainability of the windows and the energy problem, or it's the water accessing the building and mold, or it's remediation.
You need a master plan so that you have these projects, because what will happen is it'll become sort of a statewide issue. The legislature's gonna put some money out there, and if you don't have the plan and the goals set, then,
You're right.
you know, everybody else will be so far ahead of you, you'll never catch up.
That's true.
So,
That's what happened with the old firehouse. The plan was there and the money showed up and
boom,
boom.
take advantage.
So then I have for youth services, to, the diversion, work, positive youth development, such as life skills programming, which includes home alone, babysitting, resume making, job bank, those are all, life skills. We continue to do prevention programming, which is really important. And then I also added in opioid prevention work through grant dollars, because that is going to be a multi-year thing through, as long as that money keeps coming in dribs and drabs. We're up to about $50,000 that we have, and we can hire someone, we can start doing the programming we need to do, and spending the money. I just have to find the right person to do that. And then the ADA transition plan should be completed, and that is for, like I said, outdoor and indoor. Adam Parsons and I worked on doing accessibility to the ball fields, and accessible seating at the bleachers, all of that, entrances where they have those sort of bent entrances so kids can't just run out to main roads. They're not accessible. You know, we need to be doing that kind of work. I applied for ARPA funds for that, and we were not granted those funds. So there is a plan. I wrote it with Adam, and we had pricing for the walkways. That should be part of, you know, I know that this department, it's an umbrella for a bunch of things: youth services, social services, senior services, but it also has ADA compliance under it. So we want to make sure that that gets mentioned, and we are the tenants of a very old building, so we want to talk about that. That said, these pages have to be rewritten. We have to do some writing about these goals. If anyone has a passion and wants to write a little bit, we welcome the assistance.
So I'm going to throw it out to the commission. You know, we have one meeting in December, and then potentially the meeting in January, if we're given an extension, would be to approve, you know, what we have written. So do we need a subcommittee? Do we?
We do. The library always did the subcommittee work and brought it back, and you know, you have your trusted colleagues in your subcommittee doing the work, and then they bring it back, and then there's minor editing and approvals, and that's how it's done, because you don't want this meeting to be 3 hours. Nobody does, right? I'm onto something here. Nobody wants it. But a subcommittee could meet a couple of times and, you know, maybe take senior services, and I'd have Christy there, or take youth services and I'd have Nancy come, and we could bang out some of this and then bring it back to the commission as a whole for the January meeting for approvals, and wherever we land in December, if we can meet, we could do some work.
And in addition, if you're not, you know, I'm certainly going to ask who's interested in being on a subcommittee, but if you can't do that, you certainly can give us input. You have the link to the document, whether you use the little handy dandy worksheet I gave you, or just email, you know, thoughts that you have as you're reading through it, you know, so that the subcommittee can incorporate them.
Can I give you a thought? I don't know if
Please.
it's appropriate to include in the plan, but I think one of the challenges to aging in place in our town is transportation. Is there any way that we can include that in our plan to
Yeah,
improve
definitely.
transportation?
It's here.
It's in the old
It's in there? Okay.
Yeah,
To-
and
Maybe
so let's make
maybe to
sure.
expand it, especially for seniors.
I also have emergency shelter, just
Okay,
mentioning the emergency shelter in
Yeah.
our plan, but there is, transportation
It's in there,
is
okay.
definitely part of this, and senior transportation, yeah, it's here, and it's only a very minor part of what they're saying about the town having no real transportation or
Yeah.
where the accessible lines are, but the senior transportation,
Well, yeah, enhancing senior transportation, almost with a shuttle
Yeah.
system.
Even to
would
stop and shop,
Reduce
you
the
know?
stress, reduce the, I'm
Yeah.
just talking about
Mhm.
here,
yeah.
reduce the pressure in parking spots.
Yeah.
If people could take a little shuttle to their program.
Do we have any population trend numbers?
So aging population, yes, it's all well, this is the old one.
Do we
But
have new
according,
projections?
according to the sources that I saw at the open house, even though the state census data said that school-age children would be dropping off, our town is the only town, maybe in Connecticut, where it's growing. And it's gonna go to like 1,000 kids a Beecher. That's the prediction. But also the prediction with the baby boomers, like the rest of the country, like the rest of Connecticut, is increasing drastically. So we are prepared to have our over 55 population, I think 30%, is that what I read? Did you see any of the numbers?
It's over 30 now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's, I think it was high 30s.
But increasing, right, I don't know, it is increasing to more than 30%, because we were at 33 when Susan gave her,
Yeah, I think it's
2 years ago.
37 or 6 or something.
because we include 55 and up who can come here. So that would be, the state's numbers are generally 65 and up, so.
And, well, just to, we'll get back to the subcommittee, but just because we're talking about statistics, I did participate in a little training on 211 data. So I would have better understanding of how to use that data, and learned at that little workshop that there was a better database, Alice data, and that is something I will be trained on. And then when I learn about it, then I can look up some of these numbers and show you, how to access the website. So that's coming, because I want to make sure that I can help answer those questions when they come up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, back to the subcommittee. Any interest? Do you want to think about it and email me or Jeanette? But,
You want to send out an email
I will,
maybe tomorrow?
and we'll make a date.
Jen's not here and Alex isn't here.
And again, any input will be helpful, whether you sit with us for a couple of meetings before December 2nd. Or not before December, before January. So,
Yeah.
okay.
I was just thinking,
It's quick.
if
Okay.
next week is the week we're doing the holiday baskets packing, we don't have a lot of weeks in
There's
between.
just not a whole lot, but, okay, I will send out the email, and we'll at least get one date to start to bang out some of the language. So,
And I think we can do this virtually to make it easier. I mean, I like sitting with you guys, but if it's easier to do it from home, then we could do that. And certainly if we get more attention by not having you come here, we could do that.
Okay, well, that was a long piece on new business. In my report, I kind of combined both, because COCD is under our new business. The next year's meeting dates. Did everyone have a chance to
Somebody
look
had a
at those?
comment, and I don't think I changed it. Did someone have a comment about one of the meeting dates? No?
Okay. I have a request.
Oh, you were gonna be away 2 of the dates,
I
that
will-
was the comment.
Yes, so I
Okay.
think that was probably what you're thinking.
Mm.
There's a meeting scheduled Monday, April 7th, and I hopefully will be away. I have a trip planned. And so I would propose that we would, I'm asking if the 14th would be,
Day before our taxes are due?
yeah. Let me just make sure that still looks
Spoken
okay.
like a banker.
If you do my taxes, I'll come.
And you don't want me to do your job. Okay.
It is Passover. And it's looking like it is the second night of Passover, which would
Yeah.
not work.
That's not too good. Okay, so we can keep it.
We can go to a Tuesday, oh, you're gone that week.
I'm gone that
We
week.
move it the week before,
Let me see when I can leave.
because it's
I mean,
7th.
we could do the first, the Tuesday the first.
Well, I'm not here, but
Oh, okay.
again, you can run the meeting or, for me, Pat. Because I do have a couple week trip.
Can I come?
Portugal.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
definitely
lady.
coming.
And that's my problem on
So,
October
are
2.
you here on the 15th? Because that would be the third night of Passover and not a big deal.
I am here on the 15th.
Is that the week of, spring
Vacation?
recess?
It could be, although it also could be the week of the 21st.
I can actually just.
School.
Oh, you have your
School
calendar?
vacation.
Easter is the 20th, so I wonder if they combine that.
Yeah. Usually it's like Good Friday on the
usually
Yeah,
18th.
so the 18th would probably be the start of,
Start of it, and then you get the next
Mhm.
week.
Yeah, Good Friday is the 18th.
yeah.
So the 15th would work?
15th would work, yeah.
Mhm.
For some reason, that school calendar's not coming. I think the 15th would work.
So we would be looking to move the 14th to, make sure I'm looking.
No,
So we-
seventh,
To the
the
7th
7th
to the 15th.
yeah.
15th.
What about the first week of April?
No, she's away.
Like,
Oh, she's away for 2 weeks.
um,
Was there another date as
There's
well?
another date, but it's even worse, so it would be the Monday, October 6th meeting. I'll be here September 29th.
Wouldn't really count as an October meeting.
No.
Oh.
And then I'm not back until toward the end of the month, so I think I'd be looking for vice chair to run the meeting.
Yeah.
Are you somewhere where you could call in and participate, and Pat would run the meeting, or are you rather just
Kind
skip
of tour and,
I'm in France.
Well, this is a tough life.
yeah.
Then we're gonna do
This is
Zoom
why I
and
work
we wanna
39
see where
hours.
you are.
That's right, exactly.
Give us a tour of of the Louvre while you're there.
Oh, I don't know where I'll be at that point with the time
So
change.
I think we could probably deal with this closer and just
Yes.
make a special meeting when we all have our schedules and we know
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
just
feel better if we can move the one date, at least so it's.
Well, on principle, I don't want Kathy to feel so pressured that we can't have a meeting without her.
Yeah.
Not that you're not valuable, but I don't, it's okay.
spoken
Go
with
to
the
the
town
Absolutely
councilor.
fine.
I do try to plan some vacations around the
I'm
dates.
looking at these dates and saying I might not be here, and
Yeah.
that's okay,
Yeah,
according
yeah.
to our.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right,
so-
thank you. Okay, so do we?
need a motion
Need a
to
motion to
approve.
accept or to approve the 2025 meeting dates with the change from April 7th to April 15th?
Okay, you could say the change, or I could
I
say
can
I
make a-
presented it
yeah.
with April 15th as the date, because it's all being presented right now.
Okay, so I make that motion and I'll need a second.
So moved.
Thank you. All in favor? Excellent.
I haven't submitted it, I just got it ready to submit. It looks like it's a memo and it's gone out, but it hasn't. This
Oh, that's
memo
why.
is in this format because I was like, cool, I'll just write these down and then I'll have it in a memo form and hit send and send it, but I'll make the change.
Thank you.
So I'm sorry, Kathy, you made the motion?
Yes, and
And
Pat,
Pat seconded.
Pat seconded, okay.
All approved.
all
Thank you.
approved, and I think we need a motion to adjourn at 8:27. I'll make that motion. And Viviana will second.
I lost my agenda.
I'll tell you, thank you very much, and then I'll tell you why I'm doing it that way.
Oh, before we adjourn, all right, I'll say it after we adjourn, if we're ready to adjourn.
No,
We had a second.
I
All in
had a
favor.
second, but I didn't do favor, all in
We
favor
didn't
yet.
vote yet.
So you can keep talking.
I just wanted to thank the Recreation Department. I have a copy of the motion that was made at the Recreation meeting. Jane Chernow made a motion to donate $4,000 from the road race account to the Resident Assistance Fund. Diane Lensgold seconded the motion, the discussion ensued, yada, yada, yada. The rec commission raised $4,000 for the resident assistance fund and donated it just from the road race, so we
Nice.
thank them.
It's great.
And they're, good partners. Now you can adjourn. Sorry.
All in favor of adjournment? Moved by acclamation. Thank you, and for the lengthy